my goal is to try to get people who can't understand where we're coming from, where you see what's going on in the world right now.
I panicked a little bit.
Hey man, it brings back the old days. But
I was always ready to go.
Anytime you show up to the party with this, it better be drinkable.
Oh, there's that cinnamon.
Okay.
Yo, what up?
What's going on, everybody?
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Welcome to another episode of the Men and Means podcast.
I don't know if you guys heard that slight hey, but we have a special guest today. I'm gonna go ahead and allow my good friend here, Mr. James. Almost hit you with that other one, which you requested us not to call you anymore.
Yeah, so today we have a special guest. We have Krystal. Krystal is my girlfriend. She's also someone I think has been impacted recently by some of the times we're going through. And we just want to get into, just have a little fun here and we'll just see where this goes.
Yeah, we'll dive into that a bit. But as always, we do like to open up with our world-renowned, world-famous whiskey time. And speaking of world-renowned, we do have something coming from the other side of the planet. We got a little Japanese whiskey going on this evening.
A little Japanese whiskey. We got Suntory Whisky. That's the distillery. And I think it's called HIBIKI?
HIBIKI.
HIBIKI.
Yeah, HIBIKI. I hope we're saying that right. Maybe.
I hope so.
What does it mean? Ascension? Is that what I said?
It's no, it's not Ascension. It
What?
is
Some shit like that.
Did you look it up?
It's on the back of the box.
Oh, it's resonance.
Resonance.
It means
yeah,
resonance.
HIBIKI means resonance. What did I say? Ascension? What the fuck?
Ascension?
Where am I coming from with that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
You're just diving into that Japanese philosophy.
So
shit.
a little bit of background there. In traditional Japanese calendar has 24 seasons. So to talk about their bottle a little bit, they have 24. I'm gonna call them panels on the bottle, to represent each one of those seasons. So check that out. Overall, man, I think the bottle looks pretty dope. You know what I mean? Initially, I thought it looked like something an old lady with like 25 cats would have sitting in her house. However, upon further review, I actually think it's kind of cool.
like a decanter.
Yeah.
Well, my brother-in-law has like 2 of them in the kitchen, so
Yeah.
this is right down his alley. And like you're saying, it's a nice bottle, but it has that old
Yeah.
look to it.
I definitely like the bottle. I like the cork top. It's got the little
It
glass
does.
going.
Yeah.
I
that's
agree.
the-
I think it's a really pretty bottle.
Yeah,
It calls to me.
It's cute.
Yeah.
yeah.
I like it.
So let's get into the nose of this thing, shall
All
we?
right, let's nose it up.
So
Well, hello.
hello,
Hi.
Hi.
how are you?
How the fuck are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Great.
How you doing?
It smells good. This smells like a good.
It's got a good smell.
It
Honestly,
smells sweet.
it smells sweet, and I at first glance it's very light, so I thought it was kind of like apple juice.
It's
But-
very light.
It kind of smells like candied orange pills.
Yeah, it is like a citrusy smell.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was gonna say kumquats, but I just you're right though. It's probably the orange peel.
A little tangerine.
Yeah, a little mandarin.
It does smell super
But that's more
sweet.
Chinese, isn't it? If I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's a very light whiskey. The smell is not that strong.
It's not.
But
It's not.
it's a decent smell. It's not the greatest smell, but it's a decent smell.
Yeah. Overall, it smells. It's noseable.
It's
What's your-
breathable. It's breathable.
With the breathability, does it pass your breathability test?
It passes the breathability test.
Crystal.
I usually don't like how whiskey smells.
Right.
And I actually like how this one smells. It's very appealing to me.
As you smell it, it gets easier to breathe it in.
It's not
I agree.
pungent.
Yeah.
It's definitely not.
And after that last,
It's not morose.
and after that last episode, where you guys called me out for pungent. Pungent by definition is a strong odor. So it's not disgusting. It's just strong smell. It's not that bad.
But I think you just correlated with bad.
Yeah,
though.
but you wouldn't say like, man, this is a very strong, great aroma. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna refer like I don't put on cologne and be like, man, that's pungent. You know what I mean? Like no, don't try to justify your shit.
Some people like the smell of gasoline. That's pungent. Has a very strong smell.
I actually am one of those people.
I
well, there
am
you go.
too.
So
Like
I think
weird enough.
gasoline
Yeah, I'm like, spray a little out of this way. You know what I mean?
all right. So let's get into the palate.
Gasolina?
There you go.
I don't know. I feel like I said something weird now.
Dame más gasolina.
I feel like that has a lot of undertones to it.
Yeah. Can we palate this now? I kind of want to.
Let's move-
I
let's
want to
move that, yeah.
move
Let's
it
get a
over.
taste. Let's get a taste.
Let's get a taste.
Let's talk about gasolina now. We want to taste it.
Ooh.
Wow.
That's a kick right there. It's got a
Wow.
little smoky kick.
You know,
Smoky is the word of choice there. I think.
there is no Mandarin in that taste.
No, it's not candied either.
There's no
I'm
sweet
tasting
notes.
gasolina. Ooh.
Yeah.
You're tasting gasolina.
So
Nasty.
yeah, I think that this whiskey on the front end has like no flavor, nothing really stands out, and then a real heat to it on the back.
It just
It's
rushes.
hot.
It rushes to hot on the back end.
You know, this is one of the whiskeys I think we've tried to this point that it kind of makes me like breathe up that hot air that kind of gets me a little
Maybe
bit.
this would be nice on a winter's eve, if you would.
Maybe.
Krystal, where you at with that?
Yeah, at first I was like, it's not that bad, but
The end of it.
Yeah, it has like
Yeah.
like you said, a heat
Mhm.
to it afterward.
See, like I
Yeah.
still taste the smokiness of it, even after. Like
Mhm.
it just lingers.
You know what? It just makes me think like this would be good if I'm going to like a football game in the middle of December.
Mm.
It's cold.
In Ohio?
Ohio is terrible. I
Green
hate
Bay.
Ohio. No, Ohio. You need to be trash in Ohio. If you're going to Ohio, get drunk, okay? I'm not saying it's a bad place. I'm just saying I had a bad experience.
We might hear about that at some point.
Yeah, not tonight.
Another episode. Though.
Yeah.
And that's
However,
another show.
that's my take on it. I think it's like one of those things you're out. Maybe you went camping. I have another story about camping and having to get drunk. But this would be something like it'll warm you up. It's like a Campbell soup, if you would.
Yeah, I don't see. I still want a better whiskey around a campfire. So I think this like if you're gonna have some shots, this would fit right into that because you're just gonna shoot it. You're gonna move on. You're gonna get trashed.
I have to agree with that.
That's
I
how
don't-
I would consume this whiskey.
I wouldn't want this to constantly linger.
Well, let's shoot it. Fuck, we doing?
Let's
Yeah.
shoot it.
I'm not gonna shoot
Can
it.
we get a cheers on
No, I
that?
got
No.
too
Yeah.
much to shoot.
Yeah, let's not shoot it.
Last time we had a
No.
guest, it didn't go well. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna do that. I made a fool of myself.
Okay, so let's get into the palate. Let's move it straight onto the palate.
I thought we already did the palate.
Oh, we did the palate.
Yeah,
Jesus
hey,
Christ.
wow.
Yeah, are you
Is it
joking?
hitting you already?
It is
It's
hitting
hitting
him
him
hard.
already.
The
Wow.
Japanese whiskey is waiting to your.
Oh,
Well, job
yeah.
well
Hold
done.
on.
I suppose. Did you shoot it?
I'm gonna have to edit this out.
No, you're not.
I'm
Hey.
just- it must be the heat. The heat in your mouth
Yeah,
and the heat in the garage.
actually, it
The
did go
heat in
up.
your. Okay.
This must have went straight to my head.
Yeah.
This must have went straight to my head.
Oh, okay.
And they keep coming.
Okay.
All right, man. Let's get get going. Damn, we are on fire right now. All right, so overall, man, where you guys sitting at with this?
Let's pass it to Anthony because he went first on the last two, and
That's
I
right,
think it
yeah.
was.
I'm gonna give this a 4.5.
Wow, hates it. James,
I will go ahead and 4.5 is perfect.
I'm gonna
It's
say 5. 5 is where I'm sitting.
Okay.
Krystal.
4.
Damn,
4.
lowest
Yeah,
score yet.
I'm not a
Not
fan.
a fan. Not
No,
a fan.
I don't like it. It's nasty.
Not a fan.
I can't even say I'm gonna have a second cup. I'm just gonna stick to the beer.
I will have a
Like I
second.
tried
cup.
it again.
I'm gonna
right
have a
now.
second cup
Yeah,
in
I
the
said
spirit.
I said I'm not. I can't say I am. So I left a little wiggle room.
I think that's why we said that because we're like, no, dude, you're gonna have a second.
Yeah. This ain't episode 1.
Yeah, dude.
We've been there.
You gotta pour some ice in that shit and
Yeah.
let it sit all day.
He's like, can I get 18 ice cubes in this cup? This shit's warm.
Let's chill it out. Let's chill it out.
It's full again. I don't know, man. It's out of nowhere. Anyway, man. So that's your review there. We got 2 4.5s, a 5, and a 4.
Can we get a can
12, 13.
Someone else get the average.
17.17.
Can you give me price point?
Oh, this shit was $100 CN.
Anthony's working on the average for you guys. So
Yeah.
how much? $100.
$100, 100 flat.
So you're paying for like the import cost.
So for the Suntory distillery, man, this is one of their, at least I didn't do a whole lot of homework on it, but at least in the store I went to, Liquorama, shout out. This was the highest grade one that they had. I'm the highest priced one, we'll call it that. And, you know, man, we had never tried Japanese whiskey on the podcast, and I thought, let's spice it up a little bit. And it looks like I accomplished that. We did get spicy. That's for damn sure. But yeah, $100.
Okay, so after adding up and tallying up the averages, we got an average of 4.5 for this.
Okay. Which I mean was probably evident now I look back at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anyway, man, big shout out to Ken for sponsoring this, man. Ken, you know what I mean? You went ahead and you just came through again, and we all appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Ken.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Huge shout out to Ken. He's such a great guy. And with this, actually, this segment would not be possible without him. So a huge shout out for you.
Blame my alcoholic tendencies.
Yeah.
I wanted to drink.
Ken called me. He was like, "What kind of beer should I pick up?" And I'm like, "I trust you."
Yeah.
It's
I was
just
like,
whatever.
what'd I say? What would I tell you?
Perfect answer.
Yeah. So you goddamn right.
I wasn't
Okay.
gonna proceed to tell Ken what kind of beer to bring for us to enjoy, but thank you, Ken, for bringing that. For
Anthony, how do you feel about that beer?
Oh, this beer?
Yeah.
It's amazing. High Point.
So shout out to that High
Yeah,
Point
High
Brewery
Point
in
Brewing
San Dimas,
Company,
man. The greatest brewery in San Dimas. I
South-
can't think of another one that's in San Dimas, but
Self-proclaimed.
I'm gonna have to go with this one's the best brewery there.
yeah, I mean maybe there's another one,
Yeah.
but
Regardless of what it is, this
Either
is a good,
or,
this is good beer.
way to market it. I would have done that shit.
It's great, Mark.
It's all right.
High Point.
All right, man. I think that's gonna kind of wrap up whiskey time there. You guys have any final thoughts on that at all? Or are we good to go?
No, we're good.
No, we're good.
All
Moving on from here.
right, all right. Moving forward. So as James alluded to a little earlier, we do have a guest in the building today, in the lab with us today. We have Krystal, and Krystal recently just graduated from college.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Krystal.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, congratulations. Great feat.
So why don't you tell us what your degree is in?
It is in Science, Technology, and Society with a minor in Geology from Cal Poly.
So
I love rocks.
So what the hell does that mean?
I love dinosaurs, and we fight over that all the time.
Yeah, well, it is basically, if you want to say, it's like, I don't know if you guys know what STEM is. It's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It's a STEM of humanities. So kind of, you can look at it that way. Basically gives you the ability to look at larger issues when it comes to science and technology and the people producing like products and things like that. And it gives us the ability to look at them and basically see the issues that could potentially happen when producing those products and see how it's going to affect society in a greater in a greater
With a greater impact.
greater impact.
So every time that I have been with Krystal and she gives somebody her major, every single time I have to ease the conversation, because that's a typical question to ask somebody when you know they're graduating, they're going to school. Oh, what's your major? What are you going for?
Right.
All the easy ones, business management and this and that.
Yeah.
So every time that comes up, I feel the need to always be like, I don't know what it is either. So then she goes into further explain it, and it's hard. It's a hard degree to kind of to explain to people.
Right.
So let me ask you a question though. Sorry to cut you off. So is this a major that they have, that they offer, or do you kind of just put it together?
It's a new degree. It's
Okay.
a new one. They do offer it. It's actually Cal Poly is one of, I believe, 2 schools in California that offer it, and there's only a handful throughout the United States that offer the degree. So it is a fairly new degree. Cal Poly has offered it for some like 10 years now.
Okay.
So, and I'm like one of, I believe, 50 students at Cal Poly that are in the major.
Oh wow, that's
So
very
it's
small.
a very small group of people. And my senior class right now only has about 6 of us right now. Well, I just graduated, but so it's a very small major. So that's why it's really difficult to explain. And the thing is it came about because a lot of the companies, larger companies, they felt the need to have to come up with this particular position.
Okay.
So yeah.
Hey, I got a question for you. What kind of drove you to want to get into that as a major?
So I originally was studying to do social work. So I have my AA in social and behavioral sciences and sociology. And so when I transferred and I applied to Cal Poly, I applied for sociology and for science, technology, and society. When I applied for science, technology, and society, I had no idea what it was. And but I got into the program and I transferred in.
Okay.
I slowly figured out what it was. And the reason when I actually realized what it was, I actually realized the potential in it.
Right,
And
right.
It gives you the ability to do so much more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I decided to stick with it.
Right.
Because I could have changed to any other major.
Right.
And I decided to stay with it because it gave me the ability to do so much more. I have the ability to get into public policy making. I have the ability to do things in social work.
Mm-hmm.
I have so many other options, which is why I am struggling now with trying to figure out what I want to do when I'm looking through jobs now. In the job search, I'm like, oh gosh, now how do I narrow this down? Because it's such a broad major.
It gives you a big window.
Yeah.
You could easily gone with kinesiology.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is, yeah, exactly. So it's good and it's
you
bad,
like
but
that?
it,
Right.
you know.
Or like psychology.
There you go. Everybody's
How
a psych
many
major.
times are you sitting in a class and the first day of class everyone's like, oh, psychology major,
What they don't
business
know-
management.
What they don't know about psychology is you need to get like at least a master's to a PhD.
Oh,
to,
yeah.
to make any
Oh,
money.
yeah.
I want to make this clear to you guys because I feel like you guys just ridiculed me. I have signed up for both of those exact degrees.
No, and I'm with him. So when anybody asks me, are you gonna ever go back to school, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm not gonna be done till I'm 50
Well,
because you have to get a
Hold on.
master's.
I want to say one thing though. Kinesiology is not bad. I'm not trying to make.
I would
light of
love-
it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why James doesn't.
Yeah.
But Krystal, what I wanted to say was it's very
Damn, I
interesting what
should.
you were saying about how
should.
you kind of got into that. Because I think for a lot of people that want to go to school, the question is, I don't know what I want to do, so I don't know what field I don't know what degree I want to get because I'm not even sure where I'm trying to end up yet. And so then you end up taking a very broad degree, like a business management. Am I right?
I still don't know what I want to do.
Yeah, and that's the point, right? But you get into something that you think, well, there's a large window, right? Because you don't want to limit your options, and so that's something I recently just kind of signed up to go back to school, and then I'm sitting on the phone with my sister.
Kudos to Ken.
But I'm sitting on the phone with my sister, and I'm talking to her and her fiance, and I'm like, yo, man, I don't know what the fuck to sign up for, like. And I'm reading every one of them, and I'm like, I don't want to do any of that. And I narrowed it down to 2. I was like, journalism. I don't want to write a lot, you know what I mean? And I'm like,
Video journalism.
oh, vlogging? I could get a degree in vlogging. Kind of what we're doing now, to some aspect. But I asked my sister and her fiance. I'm like, yo, man, what do y'all suggest? My sister's she knows me. She's like, yeah, just do communications or business, dude. And her fiance's like, take applied math. And immediately when I heard that, I was like, dude, do you know who I am? Applied? What does that mean, applied math? You know what I mean?
And they're both very credible when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's why I talked to them.
I've met him in
Burlingame.
and
Shout out to Burlingame.
Shout out to Burlingame.
Yeah.
He was very like, hey, this is what I did for these reasons, and it was good, and it worked out. And he was really happy with the path that he took, and it's impressive.
Yeah, no, he's
It's inspiring.
He's doing good things, man. Shout
As well
out
as your
to
sister.
Ryan, man. You're doing good things. Like when I met the guy, I was like, you know what? I like this guy with my sister. You know what I mean? Like, well done. However, though, applying that back to me, I was like, sir, I think those are your goals. Please keep those to yourself next time. All right?
Applied math.
Applied math.
He would love to have a conversation about applied math
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
You wanna
At
take the
Christmas.
classes for me?
Yeah, he was like, all my friends who took applied math, they're making large amounts of money. And I was like, yeah. And I'm not, I'll find another way, dude. You know what I mean?
You're like, I like large amounts of money, but
Yeah, I like that part, but wow, I don't want to fail
math.
repeatedly.
Okay. The reason
you know?
why that's also very funny is you just heard Ken mumbling about the average of our whiskey time rating. Not saying he's bad at math, but applied math, it's not really his thing right now.
Wow, way to fucking point that out.
I have
I'm
to.
mumbling too.
Well, no,
Wow.
you're like a human calculator.
It was
You were
fair.
trying.
I was trying to get a total. That's what I was trying to do, dude. I wasn't trying to average it. I was trying to get a total, dude. I think I was right. Rewind the tape. Yeah, he was right. Anyway, man, Krystal, back to you. So, what? I imagine. So you just graduate.
Right.
So you're sitting there in that weird limbo state.
Yeah.
Just got that finished, and now the next question becomes, what is next? Do you have thoughts on that? Do you know where you want to go? Are you still looking into that? What are your where you landing on that one?
While I'm still looking into it, I'm job searching, and it's really funny because as I'm narrowing down what I want to do, I look at the descriptions of the jobs, right, and I'm like, oh, no, I'm not qualified. I'm not qualified. And the thing is that I
Spoiler alert.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you.
Nobody's qualified.
Hold on, let me tell
Look
you
at
one
everybody in
thing.
this room.
Let me tell you one thing.
None of us are.
To what James just said, nobody's qualified. Don't let that stop you.
Yeah, no, fucking go for it.
I can't tell you how many people I know that have gotten a job that they were not qualified for. Right?
If you look at my job and what I'm supposed to have, I don't.
None of it.
Yeah.
None of it.
But I got it. You know what I mean? At least enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But no. But
So go ahead,
absolutely.
yeah.
But absolutely. Yeah. Just that, and that's another thing too. It's when you look at the requirements. A lot of times, it's like, holy shit. I remember at one point I was looking into being a tow truck driver. And they're like, yeah, well, you need at least 3 years experience, right? I mean, yeah, this is a while back, but I mean, like, fuck, I was literally looking like, fuck it, maybe I'll do it.
I would have hated you if you were a
No, hey, remember my car got towed on my birthday?
and you were so cordial with the guy.
But I think now,
on his birthday,
Yeah.
he gets towed and he's like, it's okay, I'm gonna go talk to him.
yeah,
I'm like, just you can get him to drop it. And he walks over, he's like, I'll pick it up later.
yeah. I was just
It's
like, it's
not
cool,
worth
dude.
it.
That's what I was like. I'm not gonna ruin my day. It's
why
my
were
day.
you towed on your birthday?
He was supposed to get a parking permit, and I didn't get one.
He's also a rebel,
Yeah,
Yeah.
part-time rebel.
Yeah, I like to think full-time rebel,
that's
but it's
terrible.
okay.
That's so
Yeah.
sad.
But the point I'm making is, even to do a job of that nature, which is really just back the fucking truck up, pick it up, and drive off.
You probably gotta know some laws and stuff.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's regulations,
Applied laws.
But applied laws, you gotta have them. But it was like a minimum of 3 years experience. Everyone I looked at, and I was like, well, how the fuck do I get experience if I don't
Nobody
get the
hires
job?
me, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Telling me used to watch those True TV shows.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Lizard lick towing,
Lizard
and
lick
shit,
towing,
man.
the one with the girl.
Operation Repo,
Repo Man.
yeah, whatever
Yeah.
it was, whatever the fuck it was. I used to like that show though. It was so staged.
That shit on A&E.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so to your point, the people are gonna tell you these are the requirements. Shoot it out there, and a lot of times, man, you interview and you talk about what you're doing. And I mean, Anthony and myself, I think we do interviews, and a lot of times I'm kind of looking like, man, you've never worked in the field. However, you do possess certain qualities that I think we're looking for, and I think we've brought in people in like that. One gentleman in particular, I think, had never done any of this stuff, and then was a success. And I was like, wow, just adapted really quickly and really worked out well. And those are kind of not too often, but the point is, I think you got to shoot your shot. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And she really does enjoy geology.
Yeah.
She really does. And it's funny because it's her minor, and you don't know what the hell that kind of degree applies to.
You could be an archaeologist.
So for the people out
She
there
doesn't like
who
dinosaurs, but
I
yeah, she could find
don't.
other
Or
fossils
an
and stuff.
anthropologist.
That's what's anthropology, right?
Right,
Now,
right.
Can you describe geology to those out there who maybe aren't, up to date on that?
Well, geology is the study of Earth's systems. So
Right.
and that can be volcanoes, that can be
Ooh, I love volcanoes.
that
You
can be
run
the
hot.
study of geologic time.
What is
so
geologic time?
so that's from the start of Earth's
Okay.
The
creation.
layers
yeah.
on the rocks.
That is a
mantle
part of
and the
it.
crust.
yeah.
Anthony also minored in geology and volcanoes.
So did
He
you?
gets James.
No, he did it.
I took a geology class.
Okay, I was like, you fucking guy. Dude. Okay.
James gets mad at me because I don't like dinosaurs. I don't. That's my least favorite. I feel like they're overrated. But,
Look at Anthony, man. Look at Anthony,
No,
man.
I'm a little upset myself.
Yes.
I
took
don't.
that there.
I don't. Yeah.
They are a very small portion.
Yes,
of
they
what
are.
the Earth
Uh-huh.
is.
Mhm.
Right, very small. In
Okay,
time.
okay, Dr. Zamora.
Hey, let me just say this: we were all little boys at one time. Dinosaurs were the shit. Okay, they had
they
a
still
TV
are.
show.
And, okay,
Dinosaurs
Park.
was a TV show.
You got Jurassic Park.
What's
I
a
did
small
like
portion?
dinosaurs.
What's a small portion, Anthony?
It's
A couple
probably-
million years?
I mean, the Earth's been around how long?
Well, how long
Just a
have- how long
billion
have-
years?
It's
How long-
4.5 billion
Thank
years.
you.
And how
old.
long have humans been on that Earth?
Even smaller.
Oh, that-
thank
Okay,
you. So
thank you.
thank
Yeah.
you. Okay, well, point fucking proven.
I rest
all
my
right?
case.
Dinosaurs are dope.
Yes. They're always going to be dope.
I never said they weren't.
And alligators are pretty much fucking
And sharks.
Oh,
yeah.
alligators
Sorry,
have
bro.
been around since.
Yeah, they're pretty much dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs,
Yes.
yeah.
and turtles. They're weird.
Mhm, yeah.
Hey, turtles are awesome. Leave them alone.
I
Okay.
said they're weird. They have
Oh.
shells and shit.
Okay,
It's
and
weird.
me and Krystal went to Florida last year. And
show offs.
we
Must be nice.
Yeah.
it was actually my first vacation I've ever taken in life. So
First drug run ever, or what the fuck?
no,
dude?
first airplane
Sit
ever.
down to the keys.
It was his first airplane
Oh, that
ride,
is
yeah.
cute.
We were on the beach and we
Whoa.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
this
he's
going?
gonna tell this
Hey,
story.
Where's this going?
Oh wow.
I know the story he's gonna tell.
this is North Beach, not South Beach.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so
He
Got
said
it.
in North Beach.
Right.
So-
I've never been there. I don't know. I didn't even get
I
the
didn't even know.
reference.
I didn't know
I don't
there
even know
was
what that
a North
means.
yeah, no,
South Beach is party city.
South Beach is like, yeah, it's all the glamorous high end bullshit.
Dexter.
Dexter,
Got it.
the
Yeah,
Miami
yeah,
Heat, all
yeah.
that good shit, right?
Privé.
Right.
Drinking
All of
day.
that.
Ciroc.
All that.
No, I thought they.
That was weird. That was weird. That was a weird thing. That was a
Yeah.
weird name drop.
Yeah, that was. That was.
Ahoy, ahoy.
But we were on the beach and we were drinking, so we were pretty drunk, and we were like looking for shells to take home for my daughter. So we were looking for shells, and I ended up finding this thing, right? It was about this big, and it was heavy, and I thought, oh, this is like metal, and I show her, and she's a fucking geology specialist, so she's like,
But I'm
That's a me-
drunk. But
Oh,
I'm drunk.
I
She's
remember
drunk.
this story.
I'm drunk.
She's
I
drunk,
remember
so
this
she's like,
story.
that's a meteorite. And I'm like, how do you know that? She's like, because of the density.
Look at the
And I'm like,
pores.
I'm drunk. I'm looking for shells on my ass. Like I'm like on the floor looking for shells, and she's like, because it's heavy. You could tell it's not like a piece of metal that
It is
broke
cool
off or
though. It
something.
wasn't.
And I was like, well, I'm gonna take your word for it because you are a geology minor, I guess. So I'm like, we'll take it home. So she made it into like a cool necklace for me, obviously, because I love outer space
It
as
was
well as
magnetic.
dinosaurs. But until we get it verified, I'm not wearing any necklaces. I don't want a Joe Dirt situation.
You know what, man? You are kind of the ideal Joe Dirt guy.
I'm not.
No,
No?
fake shit. No
I
fake
don't.
shit.
I want a meteorite shit. I want a meteorite
Not a
necklace.
What?
Even
know.
though I spent like over an hour and a half trying to make him that necklace.
And you know
Wow,
what?
what
I
a
think
jerk.
the love should overwrite any
I
other
agree.
fucking thing there. If
Yeah,
somebody made
you know
me
what?
No, let me make a point. If somebody made me a necklace, I'd wear it every day.
You know, she sweated. She
It has some
spent
fucking
time.
it has some fucking respect,
She
brother.
spent time, sweat.
Has some fucking
It's valuable.
respect.
How come
Meteorite
on?
or not.
You're better than that.
Okay, let me just tell you why. It took her longer to make the necklace than to verify the necklace, and that's an issue for me.
But she spent time making it.
You ever been on a website and you want to buy some shit, and it's like you don't trust the checkout,
Yeah,
but you
yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
item?
Recently, I bought some resistance bands.
Oh, like
and,
a year
and
ago?
It's been like fucking 3-4 weeks, and I'm like, you haven't shipped them yet, dude? Where are they?
This man has no tracking
They're
information.
they're
Yeah,
stu- they're
nothing.
stuck in
Nothing.
customs.
I was trying to get fit, and then I'm like, oh man. So that's my excuse now. It's like I can't.
And the very first time you use them, they're gonna snap.
So
Maybe.
it's either 50% a meteorite or 50% not a meteorite.
or
So-
Joe Dirt, airplane,
Shitball.
shitball. Yeah, you know. And either or, you got yourself a gem,
You
one
should
way or
rock-
the
you
other.
should rock it.
Okay, but she does have a passion for geology.
I do.
Okay, so and with speaking of that, do you have any? I was recently asked a question, like, hey, you know, not really. I wasn't asked a question. Something was. I asked a question actually. I think, and I was like, what are your passions in life, to somebody. And so that understanding. Okay, you just graduated college. You had your virtual graduation. If you're looking for a career path right now, I think, especially when you're younger, you think like, hey man, what am I passionate about? What do I want to get into? So my question is, what are your passions, and if you have those already laid out, how does that play into what your degree is?
That's a really weighted question. Well, it's tough to say. Like, I don't know what my passions are. Like I thought going back to school after, I've been working since I was 15. And I thought going back to school and taking a break from work, because I haven't worked for a few years now because I took a break to go back to school. I thought, honestly, going back to school would help me figure that out. And it hasn't, but I know the things that I want to do. I want to help people. I want to work with people. I've always had that passion. I've always had the ability, and I've always been a people person. So I've always wanted to be around people and have that sense of making things better and solving their problems,
Got you.
And I will say this, from when I met her and she started school shortly after that. I think one of the things that really caught her attention was the policy influence, to be able to influence policy based off of other factors outside of what typically people think about. I think there's definitely an aspect there that she can really like. I don't think she knows it yet, and I don't think she knows the career and what that would entail. But I think definitely I've seen a spark in her that says it might be in the policies that are made. She's done a lot of research on sustainability and water and all that kind of stuff. And I think that she has an idea. I don't think she knows what it is yet, but I think that ultimately when I look forward to her, I see that in her future.
Yeah.
Okay. That I have a couple questions, if that's okay. So you said you went to school to kind of figure out, like, kind of get some guidance on direction and what hopefully the way I related it was, you go to school thinking, I'm going to go here, I'm going to be exposed to different things, and hopefully one of those things are something that I'm actually like, oh wow, I am really interested in that, and that is something that I can see myself being passionate about, right? And I appreciate you saying that. I think that's a common thought, right? Like I said, I recently signed up for school myself, and I'm like, I didn't take that approach, right? I looked at it like, I don't really give a shit. The reason I'm going to school is mainly just to advance in my career field. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really, there's nothing that I'm like, oh man, that's what I want to do. That's why I want to learn this, and that's where I want to go. I think Anthony even said he went to school, he got his degree and everything. So, I mean, congratulations to you on that. However, it seems like you're even saying, I only went, I think you understood the impact of what that comes with, right? I think oftentimes people aren't really sure what their passions are. And I think that's probably something that's very acceptable. I think throughout life, I think us doing this right here, I didn't know. If you would have said a year ago, I didn't fucking know. You know what I mean? I didn't know that this would be something I'd be interested in. However, I think in life, as you go, you seek these things, right? So throughout school, other careers, meeting people, just the things that you see in life, and throughout all of that, you're exposing yourself to different aspects of things, and that's kind of how eventually you come up and you're like, man, that is pretty cool. Let me see how I do in that, and especially if it's something that you start doing and you're like, damn, I'm actually kind of good at it. And it really drives you getting there, That's so. I don't know if I was gonna ask a question necessarily, but I guess I just want to say I think that's something that's very common, and from what I understand is that you look to school as a means of like, hey, what am I gonna do, right?
Yeah, and I think the most important part is to get your foot in the door of something that has room to be able to maneuver in any direction. Because I know like someone like Anthony, who has a business degree, he can do anything. Like, he steps into a company, he has the kind of mentality, he has the kind of experience that can go in many directions. All you need to make sure is that you get your foot in a position that there is room to move this way or that way. Because like Kent's point, you do find those weird like things that you're like, I kind of like that, and I didn't necessarily see myself there, but I'm going to go ahead and take a step in that direction. And I think that's one of the most important parts as you go forward in your career and as you search. One of the most important parts is to make sure it has the room for growth.
Right.
I'd like to pose a question to you, Senior Zamora.
So what?
You heard what I said. What are your passions? Do you have passions? Where do you land on with that?
So no, easy.
Well, we talked about this a little bit. I think you said there's two different categories, correct?
Yeah, I think it's two different things. So one passion is to be rich, I guess. In all honesty, it's making money. But that is not something that you can define with something specifically going to school or whatever. Because honestly, when it comes down to it, going to school, getting a degree, when I went to school, I didn't have an idea of what I wanted to do. I said I wanted to be a business owner, to work for myself. And then honestly, when the time came, I had some ideas. I never ran with it. So like, is that really my passion? So I think to this day, I still don't know what my passion is. And it's okay. Like, you may not know until a certain time.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
Life presents things in different fashions, and sometimes you got to just get there. I mean, you say you want to be a business owner. Here's an opportunity that you're doing right now.
yeah,
And Anthony had an idea that involved caffeine and protein.
vitamins,
Like years ago, and that's kind of where the market has headed.
Yeah. At 2012, I
Isn't
came out
that
with
some
that
shit
idea.
though? See, I imagine you second guess yourself.
I did.
He slept on it.
And then fucking look at what happened.
Well, see, the thing is that I didn't know anything about that business, that
market.
industry. I didn't know anything about GMP. I didn't know anything about storage. I didn't know anything about GMP storage or temperatures or anything like that, because all that kind of stuff falls under that realm still. And
All you knew was fitness.
All I knew was, at the time I actually worked out, so
He's very fit now.
right? So all I knew was like how to basically contract out to like a CMO who did it all. But then that came with a lot of money. So
what does the CMO mean?
I think it's a contract manufacturer, something like
What's
that.
the O?
I have no clue. Operations.
It sounds like it.
I would
it
assume
be,
the same.
I just make shit up.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I
I
know
anyone
what
wants
it
to-
refers to, but I'm like, I couldn't break down the acronym for you.
Half
Look
the
at that.
time-
That's another thing. So as you're coming out of college, you're gonna learn that there's acronyms for everything, and you just go with it.
And
Yeah.
and honestly, when you come out of college, half of the shit you learn, you can't really correlate to anything in the real world.
Well, I'm gonna highlight this. Okay, so we have 2 college graduates here, and then we have 2 people that did not graduate college, and
Very true.
you know what? We're all sitting in the same fucking room. You know what I mean? So, hey, my man, well done. You know what I mean? We're at the table still.
We're still at the table,
Well, James made the table.
Yeah, he made the fucking table.
and Ken help me make this goddamn table.
Thank you, dude. Because I was like, wow, Anthony, I was here.
And here's the thing, like I said, I worked a long time before going to school. Obviously, I call this my 10-year degree because I was in and out of
Krystal.
school.
I'm right there with
no,
you.
hold on. Don't even worry about
Yeah,
it.
and-
It took me 10 years.
Mhm.
And
So-
you know what? I find too, to understand, irrelevant. Doesn't matter how long it took you. The degree doesn't. When they ask you do you have a degree, it doesn't say, well, it took me 12 years to get it. No, it just says you got the fucking
And-
degree. It's irrelevant.
And the thing is I don't know all that much more than I knew before going in, you know?
Yeah.
And it all it did is solidify what I already knew, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And I want to tell a quick story also that kind of highlights. I think she will be okay wherever she goes, because we deal with people at times that we're not really sure about the work ethic, right? The work ethic, as far as pairing that with the degree. Now that's a key. That's the key to open up doors. And I talk about the Miami story, and I'll tell you this. This girl paid for me to go to Miami. She booked it. She paid for it. We went on a cruise prior to. We were out there for like 10 days, or it felt like 10 days. But she paid for it all. But it was through hard work. This girl takes jobs, and she is committed to a goal. So she's very much the kind of person that can take a situation and capitalize. She's done that in multiple aspects in her life. And I think that's one of the things you have to pair with a degree. So we're sitting here talking about degrees. Me and Ken don't have one, but yet we can sit at the table. And
Well,
it's
yeah.
because you have to pair that with something. We have the back end of that. Anthony excels in his career because he has all those things. Krystal is going to be just fine. It's about figuring that out. And I think that we all at some point have found ourselves questioning what the fuck we're doing at times. But this is a good example of, like, you get out of college and you think it's going to give you the answers. And at the same time, like, you're unsure still.
Well,
and
there's
that's
the
okay.
potential to get the answers, right? Potentially you could have, and I understand the thought process in doing so. But is it guaranteed? Absolutely not, right?
I think a lot of people, a lot of college students coming out of college think they're going to get a job just because they got a degree.
right.
And it's not going to happen. You actually still got to get out there, and you got to hustle, right? You still got to hustle like you would work at a job, hustle to go and interview, hustle to practice the interview. I can't tell you how many people I judge solely on how they interview, how they talk.
Well, yeah, we interview
You know what
people.
I mean? Like, if you can't tell me, you can't answer a simple question that I'm asking you for what I'm asking.
So let me
I-
say
we
like
can't-
this.
we can't
So
go any
Anthony, like
further.
this. I say, hey, what'd you do at your last job?
Or pack boxes and threw it into a FedEx truck.
I kind of move stuff around. You know what I mean? Like you got to kind of take that, and I'm like, if you can't elaborate, and because I mean, like, man, I've had some interesting interviews. I had an interview once. It's like, man, you see a teacup in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the fucking woods. what do you do? And I'm like, what? You know, like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Is it hot? Is it warm?
I think that was the question
Yeah.
I asked. Like, well, if I seen it was like hot still, like, well, someone's around. You know what I mean? I'm trying to piece together shit. Well, I'm not lost anymore. Someone's here. You know, things like that. Because I'm like, what? You know, but to your point, man. You know, like, and that's what we were saying earlier. I think, Krystal, is like, yeah, a lot of times you have to apply for something that you technically aren't qualified for, but you go in there, man, and you shine, and you push yourself, and you sell yourself, and then okay, you get in the mix, and then anywhere I've been at, here's the reality of it. You're gonna get in there. You don't know how they do things. They have to train you on what they're doing there, and so you're fine anyway.
And to that point, I just want to ask a question. So when I first was getting out of college, they had job fairs, right? Where you go in and you interview. I bombed my first one terribly. I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. But have those been some things that the school offers you to like help you out to find something in your, degree?
Here's the thing. They at my school, I feel like they only cater to kind of to the engineering students. So
Makes sense. I've heard about that.
Yeah, so it didn't really pertain to my degree. So it's been no, to answer that question, I guess. So I've kind of had to
hustle
myself and work hard towards myself and in pushing my own opportunities. Right. And I think I've seen that with a lot of other students with degrees at my school other than engineering,
But you know what, though? That actually prepares you for the real world that you're going to be entering. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what it does. Yeah. Here you are, and now you have to... The fact that they're not like, hey, here you go, you have to kind of do your own research and kind of understand things, and that's kind of the world that you're going to enter anyway.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Honestly,
which actually prepares you more than anything else.
Right, because that is where you're thrown into the fire, and there's nothing better for somebody who can run with these kinds of things and has a work ethic than to be thrown into the fire. And I know people like to be babied a lot in different aspects of life, but I think it's the best thing that can happen is you are put in a position to perform and to grind and to try and to push.
Yeah.
Because it shows multiple things. It shows that you're willing to push harder than anybody else. It shows that you're willing to do what it takes to get the position. All those different aspects. But it takes being thrown into the fire to determine who you really can be.
Well, to that point, I can't agree with you anymore. Like coming out of that interview that I had, that I failed so terribly bad, I learned so much more than I ever did from doing a good interview, right? Like I came out, I was like, I didn't know this. I didn't take it serious. I didn't know what to say here or there. And for my next one that I went to I killed it. Like I took everything that I failed with and I said, I'm gonna have answers for this, and I'm going to study what I would think is what they're gonna ask for. So I just took it a lot more serious. And I think anytime to what we were talking about, failure only makes you better, but you got to actually take that and learn from it.
You got to learn from it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some quote, man, and I'm terrible at remembering things, as anybody who knows me knows, but there's like a quote that is like, the more times you fail, the more things you learn, the better prepared you are for the next one. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how you have to approach it. I mean, I for the job I work at now, initially I bombed the interview, and the next time I really put a lot of effort into it. And I remember sitting in the parking lot listening to "Lose Yourself" by Eminem, like lose yourself in the moment, dude. I'm sitting there, I'm sweating and shit. I'm
throwing
like,
up and shit.
No, I didn't throw up, dude.
Mom's spaghetti.
Mom's oatmeal. Mom's oatmeal.
Mom? You guys gonna say mom?
Your mom's oatmeal was the best.
It was good, but that wasn't eating it that day. Okay, some old ass oatmeal,
But you
dog.
got the
Okay?
recipe. You got the know-how.
I didn't fucking freeze dry it.
But Krystal, talk a little bit about where you got your work ethic from, because I admire that about you. That's actually one of the things that makes me want to be your partner. Is I see the work ethic that you have, and I trust you on that. Where does that come from? Start by where it comes from and how it leads into your professional life. Because I know your mom worked her ass off too, right?
Like as far as like my schooling goes?
No.
Like,
Just in general.
Just
who
in general.
you are and the foundation of that.
How did your, like, I know your mom, she was a hard worker and she did her thing for you guys, raised you guys, 3 girls in a bad neighborhood and all that.
yeah.
There's work ethic in what your mom did.
I
So
mean,
talk about how
yeah,
that
like
happened.
I mean, I got my job at 15. I mean, not many people start that. I knew at 15 that I did not want to ask my mom for another penny. Like, that's why I got my job at 15. So I didn't want to ask her for another dime. So I started working sophomore year of high school, and I started working. And after that, I worked for 10 years. And yeah, so I mean, we struggled for money, and I knew that I mean, my sister went to law school, and my other sister went to Cal Poly. She graduated as well. And so I knew that we've all had that drive to want to be able to get out of that, you know, and not end up struggling. And so that's always been our drive and our push, and that's what's motivated me as well. And so I've never wanted to ever be in that situation to where I have to worry. And so that's where I've gotten my drive, you know. And when I was working like at Best Buy, and I knew that, like, I remember one day I was like, oh, what am I doing here still? You know, like, it's not that there's anything wrong with that. It's that I didn't want to, I knew there was no ability to grow there. I knew that.
You thought that you could do better than that.
Yeah, it was that I was putting everything that I had there, and I wasn't getting the recognition, and they weren't seeing it. And it's not that it was that the company had opportunity to grow, but they weren't seeing my opportunity that I was putting.
You saw that.
And
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And that is a very critical point for someone who's working for any company. When things aren't lining up for what you're putting out and the recognition that comes with that, it's a very clear sign. It's like a bad relationship at times. And that's good that you were able to realize that. And how did that lead into your professional life? Like you said, you noticed that right away. Like, you didn't notice it right away, but how did it lead you to go back to school?
So then I said, okay, this isn't working for me, right? So I went to Hertz. So I worked at Hertz for a short period. Yeah, I worked I worked there. Yeah, I worked there for a hot minute. I was there for a hot minute. Yeah, and they actually opened me up to a lot of experiences. And I was a manager trainee there, and you know, I actually was a really good opportunity, but a terrible one in itself. But it led me to realize, like, hey, I need to do more. Like, what am I doing here? You know,
right.
And that's when I realized, I was like, okay, the only way that I'm going to be able to do what I want to do and the kind of job that I want to do is I have to go back to school. And that's when I realized, like, okay, I gotta step back. I'm gonna,
AKA Ken. You know, sometimes you gotta go back to school. Yeah, you know, you want more out of life, and you gotta dig through that.
So I took the opportunity, and I stopped working and focused. And I know myself, and I knew that the only way I was going to be able to focus was solely focus on school, and I couldn't do both. That's just not me.
have you heard episode 8, procrastination? That's kind of that one was geared towards you.
Procrastination. Oh, I had a feeling it was, honestly.
Hey, school's tough.
It's geared towards
and he knows I
me
can't.
as well, and James as well.
Well, I'm the king of procrastination, yes. But you knew that you couldn't work and go to school, so you chose school, and sometimes that's what it takes.
But because you saw the bigger picture, you know what I mean. Sometimes you gotta make a sacrifice in one aspect to get to a bigger point.
And sometimes it takes just. You know, you think about it, it's only 2 years. It's only a small period of time, and for a longer.
So that's what I say. A lot of things I say at work is, man, sometimes you really got to step back and see the big picture, right? Like, it might be, you can do it this way and this might solve that issue, but if you look at the big picture, you are creating a bigger problem and so to sit there and stay at a job where you thought, hey, let's say the Best Buy one, I'm unappreciated, I'm not getting where I want to go, these are the things, I'm doing these things, but I'm not getting there. To stay there is very short term, and like, well, Okay, so you have to look at the big picture, and I commend you for doing so. That's a damn good thing.
Not everybody can do that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Not everybody could see it and leave and take that leap of faith. So
it's scary.
I
It's
commend you for
scary.
that.
It's a scary thing to do
It
because
was
it's very
too.
uncertain. I think, and especially to just say, "Hey, someone who's worked so long, I'm gonna drop that for a minute, and I'm going to go and focus on something where you're not getting a financial gain necessarily. However, but I understand the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So again, as Anthony said, I commend that as well. I have another question, if the table permits.
Of course.
My question to you, Krystal, is where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, in 5 years, I see myself, hopefully, no, I do. I see myself in the career that I've worked so hard towards.
Mhm.
And
I thought you were gonna say single.
I thought you were gonna say married.
oh yeah, I see myself single. No, I'm just kidding.
Single fucking back in South Beach this time.
in South Beach,
Not looking for meteorites.
Not meteors this time. I'm making
I'm not-
necklaces that nobody
I'm not
appreciates.
gonna be meteorite searching this time.
Not North Beach, but South Beach.
She's gonna be looking for a different rock.
I made sure
right.
we were going to North Beach because it's not the party area. I was like, we're gonna relax, but no. I see myself in. I know that I'm starting new in a career that obviously I'm not going to be the most experienced. So I know that I'm starting from the bottom, but not necessarily from the bottom, but I am starting in something new. So I hope that I'll be a little more established and working my way up towards the goals that I.
But in the game, you in the field you want to be in, and you're working your way up. Is where you see yourself.
Exactly, and I mean at that point I'll be 35, and.
Oh, Anthony, Anthony's fucking. He's already older than that now.
I'm 34.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, I was kidding.
But-
Or you can be like me also. I'm a step behind you. I don't have no college degree and I don't know what I want to do.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter where you're at.
Hey, well, same here.
Shit.
Look at that. What do you know? All right?
But you have your passions, and that's what you know what you have goals and passions, and that doesn't matter. A college degree doesn't matter as long as you know what you want to do.
You know what? With that said, and James is one person I think I've said before. This man could do anything at all he ever set his mind to do. Like inspirational as I've ever seen.
Which is why I support.
This guy really, and I get it. You know what I mean? And Anthony, I know you got a degree and you're doing your thing, so I'm a little more gearing that towards James, man. But this guy, I'll just look and he's like, yeah, we need a table. Fuck it, I'm gonna build one. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, you know shit about building a table. It's cool, man. I'll figure it out.
YouTube.
Here we go. We're gonna do this. Podcast. I've never edited video. He's like, yeah, it's cool, man. Fuck it. I'll figure it out. And here we go. And if you look at the videos, I'm like, damn, this guy is on point. So very impressed with this man. And that's why I think, to a large extent, depending on what you want to do, and he's saying like he doesn't know what he wants to do, and I get that. But James has so many things that he does do and does them well. That I think whatever he wanted to do, once he decides that's it, he's gonna shut the fucking game down. And I imagine Krystal, if knowing him, he must see that in you. And I imagine you'll do the same thing.
Right.
You know, and with that, we're gonna go ahead and get into our truth here. It's about time for our damn truth. So I'm gonna go ahead and kick it to Ken.
All right, here it is. Spotlight on me. And if you know anything about me, I live in the limelight, and I am not opposed to it. So my truth's a little more personal this time. And, understanding the current situation in the world, speaking directly about the pandemic taking place and things of that nature, really that nature. I'd like to... I know some people that are kind of been sheltered in this time. And I want to kind of point out to Anthony here as an example of once you start kind of empowering yourself to say, hey, look, there's certain measures I could take where I can cross that line. You realize, you know what, man, it's not as bad out there as you think. And I do understand. I think a lot of people, as you guys know, we work, and a lot of our workforce has been kind of limited to being working from home. And I think a lot of them then have, it comes out like, whoa, I don't want to go out there. I think James and myself especially, I think we've pretty much have been out every single day during this entire time. So my perspective might be a little different. But then looking at Anthony here, who kind of comes from a world of being like a little bit self-proclaimed germaphobe, worrying about these things. I think he's come out and he, you know what? Something that was awesome to me was he suggested to me just yesterday, let's go to a brewery. And I thought, holy shit, I would have never ever thought that this man in this time would suggest something like that. But he did. We didn't go, but he made the statement to do so. And so I'd like to challenge people out there. You know, and I'm not saying you got to go out and get crazy and, you know, do wild shit, but I'm just saying challenge yourself to push yourself a little bit to see, you know what I mean? Like in a safe manner. And then I think you come across to a point where you're like, you know what? It's not as crazy as I thought. You know what I mean? You don't have to really, Anthony, we don't shake hands. Nope. We're not doing any of that. You shook James' hand. It was kind of rude. You know, fuck me, but you shook James' hand. I get it.
I'll shake your hand. Just have the Purell on deck.
I brought a whole jar. Okay, because I respect your and I'm glad you're here and I respect you being here. But that's the things I'm saying. There's certain precautions that can be taken. And so, oh wow, James just fumbled. I hope that was on camera. Okay.
Next episode, we're gonna actually rate this Purell.
Yeah, we're gonna drink the Purell straight.
And I'm sure it's gonna rank high on Anthony's scale, but it's a little biased.
Perfect 10.
Yeah.
Anyway, just to conclude that, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to push anybody to a super uncomfortable level, but I think you have to push yourself and be a little uncomfortable in doing certain things. And to get yourself to a point. That's kind of life, you know what I mean? You have to kind of push yourself to do things. Otherwise, you just end up locked up and, you know what I mean, missing out on some dopeness.
Yeah, I think at this point, as long as you take the proper precautions, I think that there should be no issue, you know? Like, we can't live in this bubble at this point, like, because, I mean... otherwise, you don't know how long it's going to last, you know? Like, I think that there's been enough guidelines for you to be able to understand and know the steps that you need to take care of yourself.
Yeah, and we're not saying ETA. We're saying
get out. I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah, and if you are, I mean, get out there and do your thing.
Yeah.
Ken said get out there and be safe. Nothing's safe, but get out there and be responsible. I think Anthony would advocate for responsibility of taking the proper precautions, at least.
I mean, like my best friend, she was not seeing anybody to the point where like it was tough. You know, I hadn't seen her, and she hit me up about 2 weeks? Couple weeks ago. And she finally invited me to her backyard so we could just hang out and have a little bit of girl time. And when she saw me, she was super happy. And she goes, you know, finally I get to see you, you know. And it was, she let go of her wall, you know, and she's like, you know, because everything has let go and it's mellowed out. She goes, I don't see an issue of just hanging out outside of the house. We're not putting anybody else at risk. You're fine. I'm fine. We're taking proper precautions.
Yep.
And I miss you, you know, and there's no issue. We're not risking anything. We're not out and about.
Again, no ETA.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
you practice safely. Anthony, hit me with the truth. I know you're itching over there.
So my truth, I think people need to understand. It kind of goes in line with what Ken was talking about. People need to understand that this has not gone away. I know a lot of people are out there thinking that because certain laws and certain things have been loosened up, you guys could go crazy. Like to every.
Anthony just fucked up everything I just said.
No.
So no ETA.
No. The second wave, baby. The second wave. Be careful. No. What I'm trying to say is basically in line with everything that's going on is that, look, it's not going to go away, but you need to be able to go to places where you feel comfortable. For me personally, going to Old Stump
and golf courses,
those are places that I can still kind of control, right? I'm not going to a nightclub where you're literally shoulder to shoulder with people. Old Stump, you can give yourself some space.
No, yeah, and they have, and I want to say, and they have made it very social distance friendly.
Yeah. And you can be with people that you're comfortable with at a distance, right? So, like I said, I'm okay going out to places, being outside, like your friend was, Krystal. Being able to do that, controlling those things, you can do that and not be afraid. Like when this happened, I thought shit, there's virus on every piece of fucking
Everything.
furniture, and you know, you go outside, it's floating in the air, and it's on the grass and shit. And I've kind of been able to walk that back now a little bit, right?
But
I've been able,
I hear that that's not so much the case anymore.
it's not so
like
much.
they've
the case,
discussed like it's not so much like it doesn't remain on surfaces and things of that nature.
Well, I mean, it just depends on how much the viral load you take.
Viral load.
So watch the load.
So lots of load.
watch
Don't
the
take
load.
too much of a load to
Yeah.
the face.
Minimal loads,
So-
please.
Yeah.
And
But-
again, ETA. No, stay
So,
away from
Stay
that.
away from that.
If
so,
you choose
so
to.
basically, like, you can come out, and do things that you feel safe with. Just be like, for me personally, I plan my things out, where I'm gonna go, how I'm gonna do. I carry my sanitizer with me.
As do I.
And it's you can make it as normal as possible without being afraid. People will respect you if you tell them, hey, you know what? These guys, they respect it. They'll shake my hand when I want to shake their hands, but they know not to shake my hand. They know not to come up to me.
We
We've
also
had
know
those issues,
we let him
right?
get the pizza first. We let him. we
We
are very.
we wear the face mask in the office.
yeah, we're very.
And that's
It's funny because
why-
me and James are not so much, but we know that Anthony is, and so then we're like, okay,
So
no. I want you to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
no, I do, but I just want to make a point to people that it hasn't gone away. But be safe. Do things that you need to do to make yourself feel comfortable outside, because you cannot stay inside forever.
Okay,
So-
James, where you at?
So my truth is gonna be a relationship truth. And
Ooh,
it's
juicy.
because I got my girl here. I want to encourage everybody who is in a relationship to make sure that you take the time to align yourself with your partner. I know a lot of times you got one partner, they're in school, they're busy, they're doing things outside of their job, and you sit on your ass. You're playing video games, you're waiting for them to be available. Sometimes you have to align with them in the fashion that if, like, for instance, Krystal's doing homework for a whole day, right? Then I find a productive means so that when I'm done with what I'm doing and she's done with what she's doing, we spend the time together because we both have been busy. I'm not waiting on her. She's not waiting on me. We find that alignment with each other. So I just want to encourage everybody out there, if you do have a partner who is doing things, make sure you're doing things too. Like, keep yourself busy. Because I will say, since we started this podcast and since we've been pushing everything here, in my personal life, I don't have a goddamn spare second. Everything is back to back to back in my personal life. And honestly, for the first time in 31 years, I am enjoying that. I think that it's good to keep yourself busy, productive. I think me and Krystal have an inside joke that everything's got to be ultra productive. And anytime you can find yourself ultra productive, it's a good thing. Because when you do have the downtime, when you do have the down moments and you want to spend it with that special person, that those moments mean so much more. And you can it matters so much more. So I just want to encourage everybody to align with your partner on anything that's going on in life, and you will find yourself connecting in those moments of opportunity. And that's my truth tonight.
Well, just real quick, I'd like to say you mentioned, playing video games, and I don't see a problem with that, sir.
Neither do I.
No, there's no problem with that.
Don't come
We
in so
play
hot.
all the time.
No, I'm coming in hot, bro. That is. I like video games, and I don't fuck you, man.
I'm
Okay.
getting the PS5.
Yeah, we're all getting a
Mhm.
PS5. We're gonna have a clan tag, Means clan tag, and
wait.
I'll train you guys.
Can't wait.
To this day.
All right, so Krystal, hit us with your truth.
I guess I just want to end it with don't be scared if you don't know what you want to do right away, right? Like, you'll figure it out, and that's a part of the process. You know, like no one really knows what they want to do. Just go with the
It's
flow.
okay not to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna learn what you love to do, and it's part of the process.
Yeah, you'll get there.
I think it's part of the beauty of everything. That's what I've learned in it.
I think I'm part of the beauty and everything.
I think I'm just beautiful.
You're beautiful, Ken. You're
Hey,
beautiful.
you are beautiful
And
in
every-
every
and-
single way.
And everybody out there who's listening is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So with that, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this episode up. Thank you guys for listening. Go ahead and check out Means on Instagram,
On
Means
Instagram,
Podcast.
YouTube,
Check out the
Spotify,
YouTube. But
Apple Podcasts.
Guys,
Comment.
leave us some comments. Give us some feedback. We love the feedback. We don't care if that shit hurts.
Yeah,
Send
yeah.
it. We're gonna adjust. We're doing our thing.
And you know what?
We're going.
And push the fucking subscribe button. You know what I mean? Go
Yeah.
ahead, It's very little effort. You know what I mean? You on there anyway. Go on and tap it. Practice that finger game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get it in.
Push the button. Push the fucking button.
Yeah, coming in hot. You know, you're right. And with that said, man, we do appreciate you taking your time to listen to this. Hopefully you found some enjoyment in it. And if you didn't, write a fucking comment like my boy just said. And with that said, we're gonna go on and say, okay, bye.